Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty B. Detley.
And I'm Shad Youngblood.
And tonight we will be discussing the release of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Some people believe if we repeat stories often enough, they become real. They make us who we are. That can be scary.
Eat it, Harold.
Do you want to see a haunted house?
Some kids went missing, so they boarded it up.
Okay, we saw it. Should we go now?
Who ordered the chicken?
What's that?
It's a book of scary stories. Tell me a story. Hey, what's going on?
Tommy's missing.
Tommy's name was in the book. There's no way it's actually connected, right? Okay, what if what happens in the book is exactly what's happened for real? Oh my god. Aggie!
Stella!
Listen, you're in the next story. We're reading it right here.
It's a corpse looking for her missing toe.
I'm afraid that we woke something up.
You shouldn't have taken the book.
We've got to stop it.
Sarah Bellows' book, where the stories write themselves and it all comes alive.
The jangling man is coming.
So this film came out during our weekend getaway to Miami, actually to Fort Lauderdale, for the Popcorn Frights Film Festival. But we definitely had to take some time to watch this film, and this is why this is podcast is kind of late. While we've been doing some interviews, as you may or may not already know, but I have a lot of mixed feelings about the film. Shad had never read any of the stories,
Yeah, so I went in not knowing anything about it, really.
which I think is a good thing for people in this situation, which I kind of feel the way things worked in regards to, the actual complete film kind of pays off for people that haven't seen the movie. And
Read the book, you mean?
I'm sorry, haven't read the book. And then for people who have read the book, you're probably going to be mad or disappointed, or maybe you're like, you know what, it's an adaptation, whatever. This is what we're doing. We're just going to have a fun time. But I feel like a lot of the pressure may have probably come from the studio, because you may or may not know, Guillermo del Toro is a huge fan of Alvin Schwartz and Stephen
Camel?
Gamel's. Yeah, Stephen. I always want to say when it's like Stephen King, but it's like Stephen.
No.
It's like spelled
Stefan
Gamel. His illustrations, which make the stories come alive. He actually has like original works of art from the artist in his home, and he's a huge fan. So when I heard that he had, his hand was in this, I was like, oh, amazing. This is an actual fan. This is going to be like another, situation where you have a director that is a fan of something and it just is amazing in the end product. But unfortunately, maybe the pressure was, this has to be more like Goosebumps. Let's make this like Goosebumps, because those two films were successful in their own right. The new films with Jack Black, because obviously there had been other films beforehand. And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they were pressured to kind of like not make it as scary? I mean, it is PG-13.
That, and I think, it's a scary story, but, they were kind of aimed at younger kids. And I think even though they were terrifying, maybe they wouldn't be as scary now if you read them as an adult. So maybe they were trying to, not go for the deliberate, like, let's amp this up to 1,000,
Yeah, let's create this for a whole new generation that may or may not have read the stories, but if they did either way, they're still kids, so they'd be able to appreciate it. And this is like a hint scarier than Goosebumps, because Goosebumps, at least there's some slight bits of comedy and also, spoiler alert, happy endings. This film did not have a happy ending like esque. It was kind of
it wasn't
borderline.
100% happy.
Yeah. What was your favorite quote unquote story? And I'll get into why I said quote unquote.
I forget the name of it. What did they call the creature that comes to pieces?
Jingle Jangle.
Jingle Jangle Man. Yeah, I think that was my favorite. That was definitely the creepiest one of the bunch, I thought. That
is definitely the creepiest one. It's actually a culmination of several different monsters from the books. There's 3 novels, or whatever, books of short stories, in case you don't know. And that's like bits and pieces of the head being the most predominant piece. Interesting. Yeah, it was, I mean, there was some good parts with that, and good in terms of the reaction from one of the characters was pretty spot on. Like, you would react that way. I know that was one of your favorite. You don't want to, I mean, if you haven't seen the film by now, it's been a week, guys, but nevertheless, that was kind of like, oh shit, and then of course you're gonna take your gun out and like shoot something.
Yeah, if you've got a gun, I never understand on the horror movies where they're like, there's something chopping through the door and they've got a gun, start firing. Worry about the consequences of that later, because when the guy's coming through the door with a machete, I'll explain that to the police later.
Now, there is a wraparound story when you have this kind of like storytelling that's occurring where you're going to have several different, separate stories that have to be strung together. The wraparound story is the haunted house. The movie does, I'm not going to say a good job, but the movie, in order to connect with people that know which scary stories are going to be kind of covered in the film, the main character finds a book within the haunted house, and the book starts writing its own stories, and they name what stories are going to happen. So those are the recognizable stories that you go like, oh shit, I remember this story from being in the book. But what they didn't do justice was that they weren't exactly the stories. They were just either the image or, some detail from the story that they kind of reworked and like remade for this film.
Yeah.
So the wraparound story is the haunted house. In the original, it's a preacher that's gone to a haunted house, and a dead woman shows up and tells the preacher that she was murdered and dumped in the cellar. So that kind of plays into what happens in the movie a bit, not to give too much away, with the Sarah Bellows character, who's playing the ghost, or who is the ghost in the film. Did you like the wraparound story? Like, there's few movies that have like good wraparound stories. Like when it comes to like anthologies, like Trick or Treat, that's a great wraparound story.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I would have kind of, what I was expecting the movie to be was, I thought when they, this doesn't really spoil anything, they kind of pull a prank on a bully at the beginning. They run away from him and they end up into the haunted house. And that's where they find the book of scary stories to tell in the dark. I kind of thought it was going to be, once they found that thing, they were going to start reading the stories, and then it would cut to each story being its own little anthology thing.
That's exactly what I thought was going to happen, because the beginning is great. The beginning, it's like uphill. You're like, oh, this is creepy, scary. And then it goes a little downhill after that.
Yeah, I thought it would have been better if they had just done an anthology of the things, because that would have been a great wraparound to have, and then have it come back at the very end and do something with the kids down in the house, in the basement of the house, So they could have done that, but I think they were trying to work more of the stories in, Because if you had done an anthology like that, you could really only do maybe 3 good stories if you devoted 20, 25 minutes to each one.
Well, they didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas they could, if they use little elements from, they can put 9 different elements in,
Yeah, they didn't actually really touch upon too many of the stories, to be honest. A lot of it is like reworked, and the Jingle Jangle Man is not an exact story like I had mentioned before. There is they mention one of the stories from the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I keep saying Treasury because I actually own one of the editions that have all 3 books in one. So that's why I keep saying like Treasury or like novel, because it's like huge to me. Then when they come paperback, they're not as thick. The Wendigo is referenced in the film, but it's not an actual full story. Then you have the Big Toe, which is completely different in the actual. I mean, the story itself is insane, but kid lives on a farm, finds a toe like sticking out, pulls it, something like scurries away. He takes the toe back to his mom, and his mom like, oh, this looks great for like supper. Let's put this in a stew. And like the family eats the toe, and then of course the owner of the toe comes back and wants their toe back. And
so they were just a random cannibal family?
Yeah, I don't know what was up with the toe, because they knew it was a toe. So I don't know why they were eating toes, but that didn't necessarily happen in the film. The other thing that occurred was the other story was the Red Spot. That one I have to say, because it's so simplistic, that one's pretty close to what happens. I mean, girl has a pimple, she prods it, picks on it, whatever, and it's a thing of spiders that just erupt everywhere. You see that in the trailer, so now we're really giving anything away. Harold, which is the one of the most famous, and most of the stories actually came from the first and the third books. And then you have the image of the pale lady, which is the hospital scene, which they also show in the trailer. She is an image that's used, and her story is the dream story, but they use her image and set her in a different scenario in the film. So I feel like he took like his most favorite drawings and made them come alive, and then kind of like worked and warped the story to like create a new story. But yeah, exactly. So I mean, in that regard, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It was entertaining. It was fun. It's a great, like, I would show it to my daughter when she's older, like, when she's like 10.
Yeah, it's kind of a gateway horror movie.
For sure. It's a perfect way to describe the film. It's definitely a gateway horror movie.
This would be something you would show, like, to somebody that was just starting to get interested in horror movies. Show something like this, The Monster Squad, maybe like the Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Yeah, the lighthearted, you're not going to go straight into, like, Hostel and Saw.
Yeah, you don't start off there. You work there eventually. You get there by the time you're, like, 11.
Yeah. No, not when you're 11.
Oh, come on. I saw The Thing when I was 11.
Yeah, but The Thing is a masterpiece. It was then, even though it wasn't really deemed so, and, not a large hit when it first came out, but it is a masterpiece. And then, I mean, yeah, it's scary, but you can't compare that. That's like classic fucking cinema against fucking Hostel and that other piece of garbage I mentioned. By the way, I haven't seen either film of that I mentioned because I don't care. I'm lying. I did see Saw. I'm sorry. I got into the whole Saw thing. But I also saw like Saw 5. That was terrible. And I had to get my money back. I had to leave. It was really bad. Yeah. I've totally got off track because now I'm totally disturbed and thinking about fucking Hostel. I'm not a gore whore, so I don't really, and if you are, more power to you. Hey, to each their own. High five. Not saying anything bad. That's just not my preference. But our daughter, we're not going to be those parents that are like taking their kid, like going on the Halloween Horror Nights forum and being like, hey, can I bring my 5-year-old? That's not going to be us. She's going to have to wait a little while.
Yeah, she's going to have to get her own little scary things going.
Yeah, which would be like this. I think this is, like you said, this is a good, like, young, at least 10, in my opinion. I would start her off in like this. You know what else? Oh, no, I guess there's sex in the movie. Because I was going to say that Josh Whedon film, the Cabin one, that I always get fucking confused
Cabin
with.
in the Woods?
Cabin in the Woods and Cabin Fever. I
Yeah.
always intermix. It's like fucking Cabin. So it's like, I always fuck those up.
Did you go to Halloween Horror Nights when they had the Cabin in the Woods house?
I sure did, and it was fucking magical.
Yeah. I love that when we sprayed the cold water on you. But
Yes.
anyhow, we digress.
Yeah, that was actually a really good house. And we are pumped up because we will be going to Halloween Horror Nights soon. Since we're discussing Halloween Horror Nights for like 5 seconds. And we may have some kind of disorder where we just skip around things. But I'm really excited for that. If you have nothing else to say about scary stories, we can just jump into this Halloween Horror Nights conversation because I have so many things.
The other thing I thought was kind of that I would like to have seen in the scary stories is I thought it would have been cool if I know they would never do this for a big mainstream movie, but I thought it would have been kind of cool if it was in black and white.
That actually would have been pretty rad because the drawings are in black and white.
Yeah.
So, and they kind of did, to be fair, they kind of did the pale lady in that because I think that's what makes that scene so visually amazing is you get that Del Toro like mind because he definitely sees things in a different mindset where the whole room is red and it's flashing from red to like regular, but her image is so white and like she looks like literally, I mean, she looks exactly like the drawing, like literally she just jumped off the page.
Well, imagine though if the whole movie had been in black and white and then the red started flashing, how much more disturbing that would have been.
Yeah, it's a good scene because they're in a hospital, so it's already white. It would have been interesting to see, but they did it okay. They did an interesting thing there with that, but I totally see what you're saying, like having the whole movie being like that. Like when I bought The Mist, that literally came with a different version of The Mist, which is in black and white.
Yeah, and it looks a lot better actually.
Yes, it's scary AF. Like, and that movie's fantastical. That definitely amps it up. So that would actually be maybe, hey, whoever is doing the Blu-ray DVD combo thing, let's do the film just in black and white. How expensive?
But maybe with just some color highlights. Like imagine if the whole thing's black and white, but she has the red spot on her face that's in red.
Yeah, it's like Technicolor, but not Technicolor. The Technicolor is red in some places.
Well, I was thinking about it. Have you seen The Tingler? The whole movie with The Tingler's in black and white until there's one scene where a woman goes in. She opens the bathroom and goes into the bathroom, and the tub is filled with bright red blood. That's the only thing in the movie that's in color.
I have never seen this movie. It's Vincent Price, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that movie. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. You actually saw it at the with a couple of years ago at the Winter Haven Theater, right?
No, I've just seen it on TV. I've never been able to go see it at the theater.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be a really cool experience, but they have to have like someone being the Tingler.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they do have those crazy like bucket seats. Like when I went to go see like the first Hobbit, like the seat was roaming around, and then I got like water on me. It was like 4D.
So they could do that in there. They could not shock you, but just vibrate the seat. Because for those who don't know, the thing with the tingler is
it tingles.
Yes, but
your dingles.
They call it that because it's the creature that lives inside your body that grows larger the more afraid you get, and you shrink the tingler back down by screaming. So they find a woman who can't scream, and he starts terrifying her so that the tingler will grow larger in her body, and then he can remove it. And he takes it out, and it's this giant like insect looking thing when he takes it out. And it of course escapes and goes on a rampage in a movie theater. And the gimmick was when it came out, the seats were wired so that certain seats in the movie would buzz and startle you when certain parts of the movie happen. Like when it runs under a seat, they would vibrate just random seats to make people jump up and scream.
That's like one of those movies where it's like a crazy audience experience. Like imagine being in a theater when you first go to see that, and or imagine being in like the Halloween theater, like in the limited, showings that they had. And everyone going and losing their fucking mind. Like when there's some like excerpts, like some scenes from YouTube that you can see, like hear people's reactions and stuff. That's really cool.
So yeah, it was like not just a movie, it was a whole experience when you went to it.
That they should do that again, especially now in order to bring people back into the theater. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, with everything that's going on in the world, it's just like you don't really want to leave your house. and you can just watch a movie, obviously, just getting it. That would be cool to have like experiences, so to speak.
There was a theater in St. Louis that did a Friday the 13th one that they called it in Scarorama. And it was, they had people in all black jumpsuits and like face coverings that were all black in the theater, and they turned out all the lights. And these people were roaming through the theater and would just randomly shake the back of your seat or just walk by and scream really loudly and then just keep running on and just run on.
That's
throughout
cool.
the movie to kind of keep you on your toes.
That definitely would not be happening now. There's lawsuits and a whole bunch of stuff that would happen.
Yeah, they would probably get shot nowadays.
We're not cool anymore, so we can't do cool things. It's like the kid that ruins it for everybody.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Exactly. Ruined. So Halloween Horror Nights.
Yes.
Are you excited?
Yes, I'm ready to go. Let's go now.
All right,
it's
let's
go. It's a little early,
now.
but you know.
I'll just hide in one of the fucking houses. Do you know what houses are going to be there?
I do, but I don't have it memorized.
How dare you? Are you even a fan?
Well, I know I'm going to go to the Killer Clowns one.
Yes, the Killer Clowns. So if you've never been to Halloween Horror Nights, just, save like $1 bajillion and then come to Florida to Halloween Horror Nights so you can do all the awesome things. Obviously, you need a hotel and you need to get all these like fast passes and RIP tour passes and dining room experience passes. They want you to get a pass for everything. But if you just go and you randomly just happen to show up, you want to catch something that's not a cold, you can you can hop a ride and visit Halloween Horror Nights and the awesome experiences they have to offer you. They always have this thing where they do like a scare zone, and 9 times out of 10, one of those scare zones are going to be the house for the following year. They had the house, the trick or treat scare zone next following year was a house. The scare zone for Killer Clowns, now it's a house. So this year, the scare zone they added, which is very ballsy scare zone, because I would say that it is not family friendly, and I don't know what they're thinking, but maybe they're just trying to go back to their old roots where they used to grab people and shit. House of 1,000 Corpses. It's a very weird scare zone to have. Like, how are they gonna PG-13 that up?
They'll just have people, I imagine, dressed in like the Dr. Satan outfit in the
Is Sid Haig just gonna be there?
Yeah, they'll just have people dressed like Sid Haig in there doing his...
Will he actually be there? Because he's like always here.
Yeah, he's here a lot, but I don't think he'll actually be doing that. But they'll just have people in those creepy outfits running around a lot. A lot of people dressed like Sherry Moon, I would imagine. A lot of people dressed like Bill Moseley roaming around. And then, you can, with that, just the actual outfits they're wearing is PG-13-ish,
Yeah, well, they usually have like kind of some scenes or things like decor happening. I guess if it's one of the like street ones, not like where they always have like the harvest one, that's very Halloween-y. So they're not gonna have that one up like as one of those. It'd be more like the Child's Play one where it was like a float maybe, and then like random people just walking around. So it could be just like one scene. Ghostbusters, the original film, that's gonna be a house. That's actually bought a lot of uproar and hate from people because their whole thing is like how Halloween Horror Nights is trying to dumb down or soften, quote unquote, like Disney, their houses and their experiences, and they're really getting a lot of houses that are not, I'm not gonna say hardcore, but are not as scary, like Ghostbusters, Poltergeist, Stranger Things, where you're not screaming for your life. But I mean, fear is different for everyone.
And I think too, they've already done a lot of all the big properties. They've already done Halloween. They've already done Alien versus Predator. They've already done a lot of these things. Unless they want to start repeating themselves, they kind of have to branch out. So they have to just go, okay, Ghostbusters is really popular, and it's probably a fairly easy one to put on. You put a lot of people in Ghostbuster outfits. They probably have some of those like projectors to do like project the ghosts and that, and they can probably pull that off pretty easily.
Yeah, now let me just say the Rob Zombie one actually is it's not specifically House of 1,000 Corpses. It's a general Rob Zombie, and it's Hillbilly Deluxe.
Okay, so that's just going to be off his album then.
Yeah, Hellbilly, say that like 20 times.
Hellbilly.
Deluxe. Boom. Zombieland Double Tap. Inacade, which is a 80s, arcade that's been taken over.
What was the name of it again?
Inarcade.
Oh, an arcade.
Yeah. What I don't know. I automatically thought for some reason it was gonna be like spiders, like arachnophobia.
No, I think it's just going to be like a crazy arcade where everything goes crazy. I imagine they're going to have like weird takes on Pac-Man, Centipede, maybe like a Bloody Mario type thing going around.
Yeah, Vanity Ball, and Vikings Undead. So Vanity Ball would be pretty cool. I really like the scare zones because they're a good transition from house to house.
Yeah.
They still keep you on your toes. I would have to say I'm really looking forward to the Stranger Things house. I'm interested to see how they're going to do this Us house, what scenes they're taking. Obviously, we're going to have the carnival scene with the mirror.
Yeah.
It would be really interesting, and this is completely impossible, and I think I have mentioned this to you, if there was a way that they can, when people walk through, maybe not have like 10 people walk through, maybe have like 5 or 7, they walk through and they walked past a mirror or something. When they looked at the mirror, you actually see yourself with the red jumpsuit on. So the red jumpsuit's there like behind the mirror, maybe like some kind of like effect, and when you stand in front of it, he would have it on.
That'd
so
be cool.
That would be really dope. Like some way to do that would be really cool, because that's like the whole. I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie by now. I mean,
That's the whole thing, yeah.
That's the whole thing. So, Universal Monsters. I'm really excited. I don't know if this is a little taste to the epic theme park that they announced. If there's going to be a Universal Monsters section, it kind of looks like it, but people are also saying it might be Fantastic Beasts because it's also part of the Harry Potter world. So who knows? But that would be amazing if they really brought that back. And then also, I mean, a couple of years ago, there was that whole resurgence that Universal was going to, all the Universal Monsters were coming back, but they had all these stars doing it. And then that whole thing with that Tom Cruise Mummy movie did really terrible. And now Blumhouse.
Yeah, now they're doing it, and they're going to do scaled down versions of it. Instead of trying to spend $250 million, they're going to spend like 5 to 10. I know they've already got, what's his name? The writer of Saw, the original one, is directing The Invisible Man. That one's already in production. I think it'll be out next year sometime.
Yeah. The, now there's the Depths of Fear, which I like underwater stuff, but it's like, who knows what's gonna be in that one, like how they're gonna do that. There has been many houses that, I mean, I look at the scenery when I go in there, especially depending on where you are in the house. I mean, if you're in the front, you're gonna get like the first scares, but if you're in the back, you're fucked. Like you're fucked, and you're not gonna probably get the scare. You're seeing everyone else's reaction. Sometimes when we're in the back, I'm like looking at everything and all, like how they do that, like that's freaking amazing. Like I love the decor on this. I want to replicate that kind of thing. I'm like a child in the candy store when I go in those houses. People have definitely recommended that we do like the tours and stuff, but it's been like bajillion dollars. So I don't know if I would ever do that. I'd have to save like the whole year for it. But it looks like the Rob Zombie like scare zone might be in conjunction, because there will be a House of a Thousand Corpses house. So that's different. I didn't know. I only heard about the House of a Thousand Corpses, but then I was like, oh wait, no, there's actually a scare zone too, which is going to be, I guess, playing like his music and stuff to kind of amp you up.
It'll kind of be like the metal, the rock and roll one that was there a couple years, last year or the year before.
Yeah.
It'd probably be something along those lines.
So yeah, we're definitely really excited on going, and I know, a ton of people have really given their opinion on how they felt, or how they feel about the upcoming Halloween Horror Nights, in a negative manner. We like to keep it open and really just go for the experience of it all. We always have a great time, and even if it's something that we're not really into, we give it a chance and see, what's it about. I'd like to see what houses they come up with that are not properties of theirs, their original houses. That's where I think most of the creativity goes into, because there are just some things that I did last year. Someone was like flying around, remember?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I was not expecting that. That was really cool because
The
it was
Poltergeist
unexpected.
house was really good.
The Poltergeist house was good. I'm not saying that the larger properties aren't good. They're freaking amazing, but it's just like you have...
Yeah, like the Grindhouse one was really good.
Yeah, you have like something to reference. This other thing, you have nothing to... It's your imagination. So you have nothing to reference for the original house. It's like some shit you just made up. So
Yeah, that one that was the one in the like insane asylum in the snow we went to a few years ago was really good.
I love that one. We need to find the name of that one, because that one's actually one of my favorite houses that I've been to ever. Really, really good. Thank you so much for joining us again. Let us know if you have seen the movie. What did you think about Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? Did you enjoy it? Have you seen it? Did you effing hate it? We have so many questions that we want to ask, and we want to know, actually.
Leave us a comment what you thought about the movie.
And, subscribe. We're on Spotify now. Woo! We're on Spotify.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, almost everywhere. And obviously, depending on, you may have picked this up on iTunes or Podbean or YouTube. We are everywhere, I guess. We're trying to hit all the spots.
Yeah.
Go back, listen to our older episodes. We've been doing this for 1 year now. This is our 1 year anniversary.
Yay.
And we enjoy doing this and hearing from you. Thank you so much, and stay tuned to the horror, guys.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.